You put a 2-year-old child in a crib with a bunny rabbit and an apple? Let me know when the child eats the bunny rabbit and plays with the apple.
Welcome to the Cannabis Vegan. I'm Jason Lawton. On today's show, we're really going to be diving a bit deeper into the 2016 Cannabis Health Summit, where we'll be hearing a bit from Dr. Deborah, PhD, on Cannabis Delivery. This and more from the Cannabis Vegan.
But I notice you have clothes on, and I notice that you have a cell phone and you have a computer. It is unfair to pick one thing that lions do that you want to mimic when you don't want to mimic anything else they do. When lions walk up and greet each other, they sniff each other's ass. When I came in this room, you did not kneel down and sniff my ass.
Hello everyone, I am so happy to be here today talking about one of my most favorite topics, about how cannabis medicine helps me, you, my patients, the world. And in particular, I'm going to talk to you about delivery of cannabis medicine. Why do we care about delivery? When you work with patients, there's really a bottom line that happens. And it has to do with what can I get in my area, what's available, how much does it cost, can I afford it? And so there's a lot of scientific evidence about which strains of cannabis to use, about which type of delivery to use, about what works best for what. But when it comes down to working with patients, the patient's questions are, at your end, can I afford to get this? Is it available? And that is the idea behind delivery of cannabis. What can I get in my area? I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a holistic physician. I've been interested in treating patients with alternative medicines for many years. Never did like pharmaceuticals. I learned a lot about herbal medicines in my training. And my interest in cannabis came as a result of being a medical physician for about 20 years, and patients were always being given pharmaceuticals. And I couldn't understand what I was doing in a world where all these patients were getting pharmaceuticals and healing wasn't happening. My mentor at the time said, you know, Deb, look at what are the options here? What is the most important, the strongest herbal medicine on this planet that can help people transfer from their pharmaceutical medicine to their herbal medicine? And it was cannabis. So after 20 years as a holistic physician, I switched my focus to working in cannabis as a specialty. I've been doing it for 10 years. I've seen about 30,000 patients in interviews with cannabis, whether it will be useful for them or not. And I can say at this point that most of these patients honestly did not have any other option from their doctors besides using drugs or using this plant. So, let's talk a little bit about the delivery of cannabis. This is a poster that I created about 5 years ago after seeing a speech by an FDA agent or a DEA agent saying that Cannabis is not to be used as a medicine because it's smoked and it gets you high. And I said, well, that's just wrong. So we can see that there are 6 different delivery methods for cannabis. Smoking is 1/6 of the delivery methods on this chart. And down at the bottom, the raw and the topical cannabis do not get you high. So delivery really determines whether you're going to have a psychoactive effect or not. And certainly smoking, we can forget about that. The entire 5,000-year-long history of understanding that cannabis as a medicine must be smoked is not accurate anymore. And during this talk, we'll see all these different wonderful delivery methods that are available that would replace smoking. I'm going to go through all of these delivery methods. Just one thing I want to say about this poster is you can see that I tried to put in an array of different methods, also a passage through time. There's some ancient cannabis there. There's some pharmaceutical cannabis indica there from the formularies in the 1920s, 1930s. There's some new products there. And this is a plant that has been with us for a long time, that's been in the apothecary for a long time, that's been in the pharmaceutical industry before it got kicked off in the 1930s, and now it's coming back. Next slide. There we go. So we're going to talk about 6 different modes of delivery. As I mentioned, I did this slide about 6 years ago. There is a 7th mode of delivery, which I do not have on this talk. I'm just going to add it right now. It is rectal delivery, and hopefully we'll have some time to talk about that. So smoking, vaporizing, ingestion, sublingual, topical, and raw. Here's just some smoking methods. Okay. The dabbing device is something that I put in because when you're smoking, this is the most harmful method. So when you're smoking raw plant, you're getting the full plant extract. Yes, it's irritating to your lungs, but with the dabbing device, you're using concentrates, which are 10 or more times more concentrated than the full plant. And there are young people out there that are putting concentrates onto a heated glass tip and inhaling it. And I do not consider this a form of medicine. We're going to look at some parameters of smoking and are there any benefits to smoking? First thing we see is that if you smoke cannabis, the effects are immediate. They come on in about 5 to 10 minutes. Instant relief. That's the most important thing about smoking. And you can see on this chart that if you ingest cannabis, it takes up to an hour or longer for the effects to come on. So let's look at smoking. This is our classical method of delivery. Throughout the ages and in every country, people take the plant, they smoke it. That's all they know. And most importantly about smoking is that many, many, many of the studies, the paradigms, the information that we have gotten that has to do with this plant comes from people smoking cannabis. So for the rest of this talk with the other 5 methods of delivery, that's all in our new age, in our new paradigm. Smoking is associated with the historical use of cannabis. It's not necessarily what we're going to bring forward. Advantages, it's most well known, it comes on really quickly, it's simple, it's least costly. And disadvantages, the most important thing I want to talk to you about disadvantages of smoking is that it does not cause lung cancer. And so a scientist, Dr. Donald Tashkin, did a study funded by NIDA, which he totally intended to find out that cannabis smoke does cause an increased incidence of lung cancer in thousands of patients in Southern California. It was done in the 1990s. And contrary to what he expected to find, he found that smoked cannabis users had a protective effect against lung cancer. Had to publish it. I mean, that's science, you know. You do the test, you publish the results. However, there are disadvantages. The smoke can cause bronchial inflammation. It can cause cough. And we don't generally use smoking as a method of delivery if there are other options. So let's look at these other options. Okay, vaporizing. Well, what's that? Vaporizing, let's see, did I miss? No, I didn't. Vaporizing is a method that's very similar to smoking. You inhale the marijuana exactly the same way as you would inhale smoke, but there's no smoke. So vaporizers are devices that heat the marijuana to a subcombustible temperature, and the active components of the plant are evaporated or vaporized, and you inhale. And these are the terpenoids and the cannabinoids and the flavonoids and hundreds of other chemicals that we have yet to identify. And because it's not combusted, there's no smoke, so there's no tars. Here are some examples of vaporizers. This is a classic vaporizer, the Volcano, with a balloon bag. The balloon bag, there's vapor in there. You can see it's kind of cloudy. Pocket vaporizer, really handy. Handheld vaporizers that are really slim, vaporizer pens, e-cigarettes. And what I'll say about these are they're really handy, and many people are using them. And in using cannabis oils in an easily transportable form, you often lose your terpenes. That's a big issue in vaporizer pens. We don't want to lose our terpenes. Okay, so vaporizing has the same kind of onset and delivery as smoking. Comes on really fast. It's gone in 2 to 4 hours, and there's no smoke. In the interest of time, I'm moving right along to ingestion. This is a big black hole. That's what we know. We either smoke or we eat marijuana ingested. Not true. There are 6 to 7 delivery methods, but ingestion is the next most commonly known one. And we see here some different types of ingestion. Capsules. That is the most like a pharmaceutical delivery method that we have available. Many of my patients, especially my elderly patients, are really used to taking a pill to treat their condition. They don't want to smoke. They don't want to eat a brownie. They don't want to do any kind of weirdness. They want to have a capsule. And so there are cannabis capsules. They're usually filled with cannabis oil. Let's look at the tea for a minute. Cannabis tea is an interesting type of delivery method because, as you know, cannabis is a lipophilic substance, and the active ingredients do not dissolve in water. At least the cannabinoids, THC and CBD, do not dissolve in water. So, if you put your plant in a tea bag and you boil it, what are you getting in that infusion? You're not getting THC and you're not getting CBD, THC tetrahydrocannabinol, CBD cannabidiol. What you're getting is in the raw plant, the cannabinoids are present as acid molecules, THC acid, CBD acid. That's what's coming into your tea.